welcome our next guest speaker in our series, Know and Love. Brahma Kumaris sister Mary Friedland is an avid practitioner of Raja Yoga meditation. She resides in Chicago, where she coordinates activities of the Brahma Kumaris for Chicago and the Midwest region of the US, and teaches courses in meditation and practical spirituality. She is on the core team of Transformation365.org, a group of passionate contemplatives who produce free online meditation practices. Mary enjoys applying spiritual principles to unravel life's knotty problems and sharing what she learns with others. Her spiritual studies and her dedication to spiritual service began in San Francisco in 1987. She has been an integral part of interfaith organizations, including the United Religions Initiative, URI, a network of self-organizing interfaith grassroots organizations serving 1,100 communities in over 110 countries worldwide. Also, the Interfaith Center of the Presidio and the San Francisco Interfaith Council. We welcome you to speak. Thank you so much for your time. Shema.
Om Shanti, greetings of peace, and thank you for welcoming us in this beautiful home of harmony. I feel being here that this building was built in order to be the home of harmony. Whatever year it was built, it's such a beautiful place, and this Know and Love series is so appropriate because I think that's the core of all of our religions and spiritual practices, is to know and to love. So I'm happy to be with you here today to introduce the Brahma Kumaris. We're not a well-known spiritual organization, even though we're all over the world now. The Brahma Kumaris started in what is now Pakistan in the 1930s, but it was India then. And after the partition between India and Pakistan, the community moved to Mount Abu, which is in India. It's in the state of Rajasthan. And that's been our headquarters ever since 1950. Our spiritual heart, I should say, because then in the 1970s, we started moving. I wouldn't say we moved into other countries, but when there was the partition between India and Pakistan, there was a huge diaspora. And so the people who were moved because of the partition knew the Brahma Kumaris. And from many different cities, they started saying, could you send us a teacher? So that's how our international service started. And now we're in almost every country of the world. Our international headquarters are now in London, even though, as I said, our spiritual heart is in Mount Abu in India. One interesting thing about the Brahma Kumaris is that it's run by women. Now, the founder of the organization was male, but he had a kind of a vision that the organization was to be run by women, and his role was to train them. And it's not because women are better qualified than men to lead at all, but simply because the feminine qualities were missing in leadership, by and large. And so one way to bring leadership back into balance was to get women in leadership. And so he trained them in everything. And this was back, if we're going back to the 1930s, when women in that part of the world did not receive more than 2 or 3 years of formal education in general. And he trained them everything. He was a businessman. He was a very successful jeweler and jewel merchant. And he trained them inventory, how to speak to government officials, how to speak to royalty, how to organize, how to fix the car, everything. He taught them everything and then put them in the front. And so after he passed away in 1969, our organization has always been run by 2 or 3 women. And of course, there are men in leadership also, but they defer to the women as the leaders. And they all work together as a beautiful team, just like in the Ramakrishna Mission and the Vedanta Society they do. I guess one interesting thing I learned about the Vedanta Society, we came here a few weeks ago to this Saturday program, and we saw a video about the history and the areas of interest of Vedanta. And one thing that we learned was that Vedanta is very interested in education. And we learned about the different schools that were set up in India. And so then a few days ago, we went to meet the new Consul General of India, Consul General Ghosh, and he told us that he was educated at the Ramakrishna Mission in Bengal. So I thought it was very beautiful that such high-quality public servants are coming out of the educational facilities set up by the Ramakrishna Mission. But anyways, my role here today is to introduce you to the Brahma Kumaris. And the way that I thought I'd go about doing it is to introduce you to our core teaching and our core practice. We say Om Shanti a lot, and people think of us as the Om Shanti people. It's a reminder to us of who we are. Om, I am, the eternal I am, and Shanti, peace. So it's a reminder that there is an inner being that we cannot see, but we know is real, and that the fundamental nature of the soul is peace. This is why there's so much effort in the world to create peace, even though the achievements are quite limited. The soul yearns for peace. So that's what we're known as, the Om Shanti people. But our main teaching and our main practice is what we call Raja Yoga. And probably most of you would know that the word Raj means king or ruler or the highest or sovereign. And everybody knows the word yoga. There are many different yogas of India, but the yoga that's really caught on worldwide nowadays is doing physical postures on a mat. But you're probably aware also the word yoga actually means connection or integration. And it refers to who or what am I connected to, if anything at all. So many different yoga practices. There's karma yoga, which is doing good works, and jnana yoga, which is studying sacred scriptures, and bhakti yoga, which is doing worship. Many different types of yoga. But Raja yoga sometimes is called the king of yogas. And also the Raj means that we connect to the highest part of the self. The part of the self that actually has the ability to rule. And also in Raj Yoga, we have a practice of connecting with the supreme, the highest being, if you will. So that's our practice, Raja Yoga, and I'm going to be really simple about it and talk about the 3 steps of Raja Yoga. It's really loosely translated, Raja Yoga means self-mastery. So the 3 steps of self-mastery. And the first step, of course, would be to know the self. And so we study the self. We call the self the soul. Often the self is referred to as consciousness. But in spirituality, the word soul is used, which refers to more than just consciousness, more than just mental activity. But soul suggests something enduring, something very beautiful and deep. And so in Raja Yoga, we study the qualities of the soul, the intrinsic qualities that every human soul possesses, such as love and peace and joy and purity and truth. We see these as fundamental qualities of the soul, which are embedded in the soul, and it's possible for the soul to forget about these qualities, but it's not possible for the soul to lose these qualities. So the approach that we take to self-mastery is, as I said, first understanding the qualities of the soul, but then using them in life. But actually that's the 3rd step, because the first step is understanding of the self. That's the first step of self-mastery, of knowing that I am this inner being. I can't see myself because I'm not part of the material world, but we're very familiar with our consciousness. And we know that there is a part of us that endures beyond the lifespan of the body, and that's the soul. And so the second step of self-mastery is to take care of the self. Now, particularly in the 21st century, we're very motivated by society to take care of other people, to take care of projects, definitely to take care of the earth, to get out there and do things and to excel. And to take care of the self is definitely important. People are interested in diet and exercise, and probably every one of you has spiritual practices to take care of yourself. But it's not really given a high priority. The higher priority in general is to get out there and do something, and then in the time that you have left over, you take care of yourself. So we try to switch that around. And the first priority is to take care of the self. And I think many of you probably have a meditation practice. Is that right? Most of you are some kind of a daily spiritual practice. And that's taking care of the self. So we do this in Raja Yoga as well. Our fundamental practice of meditation is to shift our awareness from the material world into this inner space, which we cannot see but we know is there. And we use our thoughts in Raja Yoga meditation. One reason, because we are constantly thinking anyway, and to try and not think is quite challenging for most people. But the other reason is to practice having high-quality thoughts. High-quality thoughts. Because the obstacle that we come up into consciousness, we have plenty of thoughts. We don't run out of thoughts. But the obstacle is the quality of our thoughts. So when we meditate, we define a high-quality thought as a thought that's about the eternal self, a thought about the qualities of the self, a thought about peace, or a thought about love, or a thought about eternity, or a thought about my purpose. Why am I here? Where did I come from? Where will I go to next? We call these high-quality thoughts. And when we are in meditation, we practice these thoughts with the goal of kind of across the board being able to improve the quality of my thinking. And we notice that if we have high-quality thoughts, and you've probably noticed this yourself, if you have a stream of high-quality thoughts, and then sometime in the not-too-distant future, you find yourself having a stream of lower-quality thoughts, you notice these are low-quality thoughts. If we didn't have high-quality thoughts, we wouldn't be able to notice the low-quality thoughts. So then this is kind of where the rubber meets the road. We're not meditating, but we still want to have high-quality thoughts. And so practice. Whatever we experience in meditation, we have to practice in life. And my mother used to say, practice makes perfect. I didn't believe her then. I haven't experienced that perfection, but I've experienced very good quality thoughts, and that makes me happy. So taking care of the self, and of course then, another aspect of taking care of the self, since we're in bodies, we need to take very good care of the body that we've been given, and various practices for that have to do with the kind of food we eat, how we prepare our food, the thoughts that we have when we're eating food, the company that we choose, the way we choose to spend our time, the way we choose to spend our money. All of these are part of Raj Yoga, being a master of the self, making very good decisions. Decisions about myself, the spiritual being, and decisions about the body that I live in and the world that I live in. So taking care of the self, that's kind of meditation, plus we lump all of that other ways that we apply it in our life together under the term of dharana, developing a character based on our own inner truth. So that's taking care of the self. And of course, serving others is important as well. But first, we put ourselves in a position where we have something of quality to give to others. And then we serve others. And so service, we know from studies done by psychologists that actually the highest happiness comes from serving others, from helping other people. Study after study has found this is the most reliable form of happiness. But we want to make sure that we include plenty of this in our life because everybody wants to be happy and we want high quality of happiness. So that's knowing the self, taking care of the self, and then applying, using my good qualities in life. And so when these core qualities, which we practice in meditation, peace, love, purity, etc., we consider these to be kind of the building blocks of virtues. And if I can be peaceful and then bring this peace into my life when we sit down on Monday morning and we've got the things that didn't get done the week before and the things that have to be done today, if I can approach it peacefully, then I can develop the virtues that I need in order to maintain my peace, which might be patience, it might be discipline, it might be tolerance, whatever qualities we need, whatever virtues that we need in order to maintain our peace, maintain our love. These happen naturally through life if we're paying attention. And this is kind of the job of the master of the self, to constantly pay attention and see what qualities can help me in life. So these are the three main aspects of self-mastery. And there's another step in Raja Yoga, which, as I said, I think in every one of our religions, we have a level of understanding about what is the highest. We might call that God or Allah or the higher power or the source. In some spiritual traditions, the higher self is considered to be the highest. There is no outside being. And in other traditions, there is a being who's higher. In some of the earth-based religions, the highest power is considered to be a property of matter. The earth is sacred, the water is sacred, the air is sacred, the clouds are sacred. So in every tradition we have, an important part is our understanding of and our relationship with whatever is the highest. And in the Brahma Kumaris, we consider human souls to be on Earth, on planet Earth, the human soul to be the highest form of consciousness, meaning you could say the most powerful form of consciousness. In its pure consciousness, love, the energy of love, the energy of peace can have a tremendous effect on other souls, even nature, even our pets. And then, of course, conversely, extremely vicious consciousness can also can instill fear or anger, so it can work both ways. So we consider human consciousness, the human soul, to be the highest form of energy on Earth. But we also believe that there is a higher soul. There is a soul similar to the human soul, but a soul who is unchanging, eternally unchanging. And so that soul would not be in the material world, because the nature of the material world is that everything changes. And even we, human souls, change. We have one level of consciousness right now, and later we'll have a different level of consciousness, and tomorrow we'll have a different level of consciousness. So we believe that there's one being who is like the human soul, the same core qualities, but as I said, unchanging and in their perfect form. And this being then would not be in the material dimension, but would be in a different dimension. We call that the dimension of light, or Paramdham, or Nirvana, or beyond. There's many names given to this residence of the highest power. But we also see that as souls, we have an entry point to this being, because we're souls, and we see the highest being also as a soul. And so in our meditation, you could say the second step of our meditation is from the experience of being an incorporeal, eternal soul full of divine qualities, we come into the awareness of a being who is always this way. And we also have the understanding that as eternal beings, we weren't always in these bodies. that we're in now. We might have been in different bodies, but also in our eternal life, there would be times when we weren't in bodies and on earth at all. And so we would be in that supreme abode, that place of light, and we would eternally know this being. So we're not trying to introduce ourselves to a new friend, but we try to draw upon our deep unconscious experiences of having known this being eternally. And so how do we do it? We connect to the qualities of the soul. Peace, for example. I'm a being of peace, and the Supreme Soul is a being of absolutely perfect peace. And people talk often about being on the same wavelength. They say, oh, I'm on your wavelength, or this person was not on my wavelength, which means you were hearing what the person was saying if they're not on the same wavelength, but somehow not connecting. There's no alignment of your consciousness. So we try to connect with or be on the wavelength of or align with the energy of this perfect being. And it's an exercise in pulling us up into a higher level of consciousness, which we're capable of. But if we don't make the effort, the conscious effort, we might not get there too often. So we do that in order to experience the qualities of the soul in a very pure form, or in order to experience the qualities of the self, take power from God. And that's the second step of our meditation practice. So this is the main practice of the Brahma Kumaris. And I want to just talk a little bit about the practical application of it. As the highest conscious beings, the highest form of energy on earth, we recognize that, I love this word harmony, because that's really, we feel this is the highest achievement of human souls, is to be together in harmony. I can't remember who said this. It was one of the ancient Greeks, and if there's a philosopher here, you could probably say who said this quote. But the quote was, to be able to consider a point of view that you do not accept is the sign of an educated man. It was one of the Greek philosophers, and I always love that, to be able to consider a religious practice or a cultural practice, to just consider it, to look at it, to see what it's like, that you don't necessarily subscribe to. That's a very high vibration, and that's the vibration of harmony. And so, and this is a beautiful way of creating harmony, what's done at this place, but also we have to create harmony within our own social units, which might be within our family, within our workplace, within our country is very polarized, and we need to somehow create harmony in the midst of all of this polarization as well. And so applying these spiritual principles to the unsolvable problems of life, because only spiritual principles can solve the unsolvable problems. That's it. We have the greatest experts and very good experts in every field, but they're not able to bring us to the level of harmony that we would like. So harmony with each other, but also harmony with the earth. And many of you are probably aware that the annual COP conference, the UN Climate Change Conference, is starting in a few days. So important for us to, as spiritual beings, to come into a relationship of harmony with the earth. And it's required us to change a lot of our practices within the Brahma Kumaris. Environmentalism was not one of our original founding principles because it didn't exist when our organization started. But it became an important principle about 20 years ago when the COP conferences started and the UN recognized that if we don't change our relationship with the earth is not going to support us. So now it's a big issue within the Brahma Kumaris, and we're sending a big delegation to Egypt for these conferences. But in addition to that, we have at our headquarters in India, we have a huge solar thermal plant that generates, I couldn't tell you how much electricity. It even makes air conditioning in the summertime. There's so much. It's the largest solar thermal plant in the world. And we've been doing solar cooking now for probably at least 30 years. We have 30,000 people come at a time to our headquarters. So they have these pots that are about this big. And they can boil water for tea, or they can make rice in the matter of a few minutes using solar power. And it's all brothers who do the cooking. They have, they look like shovels, which they use to stir the pots. And we now have solar power now at hundreds of our centers in India. We have not, some parts of the world, like Scandinavia, is very advanced in terms of solar. We've been wanting to have solar panels on our center in Chicago now for several years, and the obstacle we keep coming up with is we have a flat roof. And so the companies who we contact say, well, we can only put solar panels on a slanted roof. So we've gone to commercial providers because they can do flat roofs. And the commercial providers say, well, you're in a residential building, so we don't do residential buildings. But we're still holding on to this dream. And another practice, which came from India, actually. Our headquarters is in Mount Abu, which is a very popular tourist attraction because there's a lot of ashrams and very sacred places. So there's thousands and thousands of people visiting there on any given day. And the government of Mount Abu decided that plastic is a really big problem. Right? It doesn't biodegrade. And so they said a couple of years ago, it was before COVID, maybe 5 years ago, they declared that visitors were now not allowed to bring plastic food containers, disposable food containers. And so we took that in the Brahma Kumaris as a signal worldwide that we had to remove plastic. And so we did that. We all went on Amazon to find out what can you get other than plastic, and that's been a big practice, is reducing our use of anything that is not biodegradable. So these are some practical applications of spirituality, and I guess what I really love about this life is that it integrates the spiritual and the practical, and that's what makes sense. Is yes, we have our spiritual practice, but if at the end of the day I haven't applied it during the day, I'm going to feel empty. I'm going to feel empty at the end of the day. I'm going to feel like I wasted the day. So that's all I have to say about the Brahma Kumaris. We'll do a little meditation together, but I wanted to see if any of you had any questions or comments? Anything you'd like to say? Anyone? We have a microphone here if anybody would like to speak. Yeah. This brother's going to bring you a microphone.
Thank you. Well, this is really wonderful and lovely to hear, so thank you so much. I'm asking a question for clarification of when we think about each human soul, is it a distinct, separate identity from each other, or is there a connectedness of the souls in terms of the idea of peace and love?
Yeah, really good question. So our understanding is in every human body, there's a little human soul. So there's a little human soul right here, and this little human soul can make this arm wave. But this human soul can't make your arm wave because there's a little human soul there that makes that arm wave. However, we all are one family. That's our understanding. We're all one family of souls, that this soul is responsible for the karma that's created, the actions that are performed through this body. If I speed, I don't think I could today, the traffic is so slow, but if I did speed and I got a speeding ticket, it's this character named Mary who would have to pay the ticket. That's our understanding, that each soul is autonomous, but on the other hand, we are all one family of souls, which means we care about each other, and that's where this concept of harmony, that if we are all conscious, properly conscious and having good, high-quality thoughts, our thoughts will lead us into a state of harmony. I think that's the ideal state of the world, is harmony. Okay, well then, how many of you have your own meditation practice, or maybe you even try different meditation practices? Okay, and some of you meditation is a little bit new. So we'll practice together. To begin with, in many meditation practices, we start by focusing the attention on the breath. Couple of very good reasons to do this. One is, if I'm paying attention to the breath, it gets my attention out of my head, which might be going around very quickly. We want to just take a moment to get out of the head. And the other reason is the breath has a subtle influence on both the body and the mind. And if we slow down the breath, on a subtle level, it can help the body relax and it can help the mind be quiet. So that's what we're going to do first. In the Brahma Kumaris, we meditate with our eyes open, but if it's easier for you to close your eyes, that's fine. If you do open your eyes, you want to find a focal point, and it might be this beautiful image, maybe the soul in the forehead of that beautiful image. That's good, yeah. Take a few deep, or you could look at my third eye point also. Either one is fine. Take a few deep, full, easy breaths. And for a few moments, just watch the air enter and leave the lungs. Notice how quiet the breath is, how dependable the breath is. Even when we're not paying attention to the breath, it's working fine. But when we consciously watch the breath, we can be influenced by it. As you exhale, let the body relax. Do that a few times. And then as you exhale, let the mind relax. And then bring your awareness to the place behind the forehead where you feel yourself think. Or you might say behind the third eye point. With the awareness that there is an invisible conscious being there. And the conscious being does not have any size or shape, and so we think of the soul as just a point. Point has location, but no dimensions. A point of light. This tiny point of light is the manager of the big body. And then on the screen of your mind, write one very simple thought. I am a peaceful soul. I am a peaceful soul. Soul means eternal. Not part of this material world. Spiritual, divine. And peace or shanti is my nature, my original nature, my eternal nature. The soul loves peace. Bring your awareness very deeply within yourself and touch that place of peace. Let that energy of peace flow and circulate and fill your whole being with peace. Peace is the power of the soul. In peace, we can see things clearly. Peace softens the hard edges. Peace relaxes the anxious moments. Peace. In peace, we can make good decisions. And peace is also the doorway to all of the good qualities of the soul. In Raja Yoga, we consider the soul to be fundamentally good. We've all developed bad habits, we know that. But the enduring qualities of the soul are good. And peace opens the door to that goodness. Now let the energy of love flow. Love is the glue that keeps us together. Love is the energy that connects us, Such a beautiful energy, so unique, the energy of love. Let your whole being be filled with the energy of love. And let that energy of love radiate, because we know that's what happens. Whatever I'm experiencing in my own consciousness, I'm radiating that energy. Let the energy of love radiate to everyone in this room, every beautiful, embodied soul in this room. Let the energy of your love touch everyone. And let the energy of love continue to flow all around the world and touch every brother soul, every soul everywhere, all 8 billion. Let the energy of love flow, because love is also a power. It can travel. And now let the energy of love flow beyond the material dimension into the faraway dimension and the source of love. However you understand the source of love or the greatest power, let your love flow there, back to the source of love, and connect with the source. There is only one love. There is only one vibration of love. And we are all connected through that vibration of love. Let yourself be filled from the source of love. And then donate all of that love to Mother Earth, this beautiful planet that sustains us, gives us delight, supports us. And now bring your awareness back to the body that you inhabit and this beautiful space, this moment in time, with the awareness that you are the inner being and you're very powerful. You have the power of peace, and you have the power of love. Om Shanti. Thank you. And one tradition that we have in the Brahma Kumaris is when we, after we have meditated together and been together and experienced our higher selves, we like to give a little memento of that experience. And so we call this little memento Toli and blessings. So sorry about that. We call that little memento Toli and blessings. And so Toli is a word that means a little tiny sweet made in spiritual consciousness. And I know that there are refreshments, delicious refreshments going to be served, but this is a really tiny little sweet that reminds us of the sweetness of life. And Sister Charu will give that to you. And the other one is a blessing card, which has some quality of the soul. And we don't often think about the qualities of the soul. So when you get your blessing card, you know that's a special quality of you, the soul, and you can identify with it and enjoy it because that's your quality. Okay, so she will distribute those now. And thank you again for inviting me and allowing me to be part of this beautiful Know and Love series. Any questions first? You can distribute it now. I asked any questions and everybody was very quiet. They're all peaceful souls. Charuben?
On behalf of the Vedanta Society, I'd like to give Sister Mary a humble gift. Oh, no, yes, thank you.
This is so beautiful.
Thank you.
Many ways to God.
As a book and a card.
Thank you so much.
Okay. It was wonderful when you were listening to her, and her appearance itself is very peaceful and so wonderful way. And long back in the Upanishad, we find that they're searching for peace. They're searching for the soul. And before others, they were searching in this whole world in the nature. And in Upanishad, we find that that sentences like Parikshalokan karmachitan brahmana nirvedamaya kritakritena. They were searching in the sky, in the earth, in the water, in the air, everywhere, which is the original source from where everything has come. But they found no correct answer from there. Then again in the Kathopanishad we find, it writes like this, Kaschid dhira pratyagatmanamakshat abritta chakshu amritattamichan amritatya icchan. They wanted to get the peace, so they closed their eyes. Now they are meditating. In the Kathopanishad, we find they are meditating. And closing the eyes means controlling all the senses, all sense organs, which are going out and eating. When you talk about eating, we only think that the tongue is eating, whatever the taste. It is not. All the 5 sense organs going out and collecting information, giving it to the mind. So this is the way they started. Then afterwards, a great master came, Patanjali. the Patanjali analyzed the whole human body, human mind, and then gave the 8 stages of meditation. So this is the history of meditation. They were searching in the everything in the nature, and then they searched themselves, and then they understood all peace is living inside the mind, and mind is the flow of thoughts, and thoughts are generating, coming in touch with the sense objects. And these sense objects are connected with our senses, so they control the senses. The ahara shuddhi, sattva suddhi. They say the moment you can purify your ahara, then your mind will be purified, sattva suddhi. So that if you see the good things, if you hear the good words, if you good smell and good taste, all this goodness will purify your mind. And once you purify your mind, you go to the peace, which is the source. Thank you, Sister Mary. Thank you for... I wish many other people would have come to listen to you, and you have very nicely presented. Thank you once again. And it has recorded, and it will be in our YouTube. The hundreds of people will be watching it afterwards. And this will benefit the people when they are all excited all the time, thinking what to do. These words of peace will bring solace to their souls. Thank you once again. Let us say Shanti 3 times. Om Shanti, 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 Hari Om Tat Sat. Please come with us to have some little tea and snacks.